Thank you, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I want to thank my colleagues, Dan Kilday and Robin Kelly, for being here, as well as Leader Jeffries. Welcome to Broward County, the only county that voted Democrat in the last election, at least in South Florida. At least in South Florida. That's what I meant, in South Florida. I meant in the South Florida region. Okay. So a couple quick observations. First is with what the Supreme Court. Well, first, thank you to the witnesses for being here, and thank you for sharing your stories. But one of the things that I find fascinating, but also very telling of the Florida Supreme Court, is that the three newest justices, the three newest people onto the court, three women appointed by the governor, all voted for the 6-week abortion ban, but then voted against letting the voters decide. So they voted to negate what voters in 1980 did. Okay, they said those voters were wrong, and then wanted to deny today's voters the ability to weigh in. And that's not just telling on this issue, it's telling for where the Supreme Court is going. That the Florida Supreme Court now has a tilt to the right, a more extremist view with the three newest people in a 4-3 decision. That's how close the decision was to allow voters to decide. So obviously we're stuck in this moment, but also the concern about where this court is going should another justice retire and the governor get another appointment. So I think that bears notice. It also bears notice that those justices are also on the ballot for retainment. So if the voters also want to show their displeasure to those justices for their vote, they could also weigh in November. I miss the days where my Republicans were for small government. It's amazing how they want government everywhere. And look, the last couple years here, we've had culture wars in Florida, and the culture wars have failed. They failed. They did not achieve the objective that they tried to achieve, but they've hurt a tremendous amount of Floridians in the process. Ms. Dorbert, I found your story very compelling, obviously, and tragic. Did your medical professionals tell you to get on a JetBlue flight and fly to New York?
My OB talked to me about it when she realized her hands were tied. She asked, what I thought about going out of state. From her standpoint, she said it'd be very costly. And she's like, she could not promise me there would be any legal repercussions. Yeah. And so that's kind of what she had told me and advised.
Right. And same thing, family, friends, all weighing whether you should literally get on a plane and leave the state where you live to go to another state to receive health care within the same country.
I mean, they all weighed in about going, but I had to think about my 4-year-old son at the time. How long would I be away from him? I've never left him more than a couple of nights. And obviously, whether healthcare was going to cover it, because right now I'm having a hard time healthcare covering just treatment now to help me. And then finding a doctor in another state to do it safely.
Yeah. When your doctor sat you down and said, by the way, if you want this level of health care, my recommendation to you is possibly to get on a plane and go to another state. What did you think at that moment?
I was really shocked because I think I was still in a shock state once I found out he had Potters, and then I found out I had to carry the full term, and then she told me, there's the option of going out of state. She didn't advise it, but she just told me it's costly. She didn't know what the repercussions is, but if it was something I wanted, she would help. But she also said if I stayed here, that she would take good care of me to the best of her ability.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you coming today and telling your story.